How are you?
How's it going, guys?
We're doing well.
That'd be the one everybody knows, right?
That's right. We gave it to you.
Great. I'm thrilled.
It's a special day for you, from what I understand. Happy birthday.
Yeah, I don't know how special.
Would you like to share how many, or should we just leave it at happy birthday?
No, largely because it's got a big round number at the end.
Yeah.
We've been threading it.
Yeah.
And I've already celebrated. My big splurge treat celebration was Pebble Beach, and we did that in the summer. And
Oh, nice.
So it's all downhill from here.
Can we talk about Pebble Beach for a second? That we can.
Sure.
We don't have to talk SU basketball for like a minute. What was that like? What was Pebble Beach like?
Just incredible in every way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely insane. I mean, obviously the price tag is high and all that, but if you love golf and you love life and sunshine and relaxing, and you got to do it. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of property on the planet. Happens to be a golf course, and it's fantastic.
All right, so if you're, I don't know what your handicap. Are you what, like a 10 handicap? Where are you?
I have the swing of a 6 and the brain of a 25.
Okay, so somewhere in the middle. How many so let's say a 10 handicap plays Pebble Beach. What are they shooting there?
85.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. I mean, it may be better than that. For instance, I went with 3 buddies that ran the gamut from probably a solid 6 to 14 plus, and we all had a good time. Now, did we all play great? No. Pebble is punitive, but if you're hitting it okay, you can score. So third day of the trip, the best player in the group, you can imagine, had experienced some nightlife as well. We had to kind of prod him to wake him up on the last day, the day of playing Pebble, and he shot 78.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
okay.
So it's doable. I played better on the other 2 courses than Pebble, primarily because if you miss by a little, you're in trouble. You know, you miss the green by 10 feet, you could be in a bunker that's over your head.
Right.
You could be in a rough that you don't experience anywhere else. So that's what got me.
Gotcha. Oh, man, I wish we could spend 15 minutes talking golf here, because that sounds enjoyable.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I know. I am too.
On the air or off. I've told many of the stories. I'd be happy to tell them on the air or off anytime you want.
All right, let's talk about this team and talk about last night. And I think it went kind of the way that most expected it would go. Clemson's better, and they showed that they were better. And, Syracuse didn't help their cause. Too many turnovers, didn't play great defensively. I mean, in your mind, what was the biggest issue last night for why that game got away?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything new. I mean, last night was turnovers. Just really head-scratching turnovers and plays that you've got to be better than. I mean, Syracuse is not good enough to beat Clemson right now. They just don't have, particularly without Donnie Freeman, they don't have enough talent or weapons or whatever word you want to use. And on top of that, they can't shoot themselves in the foot and live to tell about it. I heard Coach Autry on a minute ago. We're privileged when we're on the road with the team. We see and hear a lot of stuff. Do you think he didn't address turnovers before the game? He specifically said in the team meeting at the hotel before the game, no long passes. You can't do this. You can't do that. They're handed paperwork with the scouting report of every player. Some of the stuff they attempt to do when the game unfolds is just mind-blowing, and I don't know what recourse you can do. I mean, you can't bench every guy, and it's just, I think it's frustrating for everybody involved, fans, coaches, players, everybody. They've got one spectacular player, missed him for 7 games. They've got a couple other guys that can flash here and there, but for them to beat a good team, they need everybody clicking, and that hasn't happened yet.
So why do you think that is? Like you're saying, it's on the scouting report. They're talking about it. Like, we know the team is prepared. Where's the disconnect? Like, why does this happen when they go out there and, with like Elijah Moore, you can say, well, it's, he's a freshman, or like, but that doesn't hold water with everybody else. Like, why are these lapses during games? And is it on the players? Is it on the coaches? Like, what I don't know. Like, people want answers, and it's hard to give them answers right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say they probably could. I'd like to see them practice good against good more. when I go to practice, it's the day before the game, so they're maybe tapering down toward game day. They do a lot of 5-on-0. They do, players against the scout team, that kind of thing. I mean, that's one thing I would try. They have done it here and there where it's the ones versus the twos, and I just think maybe things are ramping up on game day faster than they anticipate, and maybe that has to do with slow starts and whatever, but we're all grasping. I mean, I've heard a lot of these calls and people get the emails, and people are just grasping, because they're trying to explain it. So all the amateur coaches and those of us in the armchair and on the sideline are throwing darts and taking shots at what can you do to fix it. The bottom line is they don't have the material to compete with the top end of the league, and that can't be rectified during the season.
You talk about JJ, and he's one spectacular player you said on this team, and you're right. I mean, you could kind of pencil him in for 20-plus points a night, it feels like. What is the ceiling for him as a player? I mean, do you see the skill set in JJ Starling that he would be able to make an NBA roster, stick on an NBA roster someday, or do you think he's more of a G League guy or a guy who goes overseas?
It's hard to say. I mean, he certainly is an overseas player, and you can make a lot of money and have a great life doing that. G League, if you consider that the next level, I mean, some would argue that it's not. I mean, you're better off playing in Italy for the money and the lifestyle that you can have than you are in the G League. The reason that the G League has appeal, of course, is not only is it local, it has the direct connection to the league, and that's. You hope you're there in a incubator sort of on deck situation. I don't see why JJ couldn't hang at that level. And then if you're there, you're maybe an injury away from a call up and an opportunity. I don't watch enough of the NBA to know. I do know they've got the best athletes in the world and some really great things going on in the NBA. But there's plenty of guys in the NBA that weren't necessarily even spectacular college, weren't exactly setting the world on fire in college for one reason or another. So I wouldn't rule it out. He's not a drafted player and that kind of thing, but stranger things have happened, and he's certainly going to put the work in, and he's going to be smart and treat people the right way and be a pro. And so those types of things, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him as an NBA player before, but I wouldn't rule him out on my account.
You look at the ACC standings right now. I think we'd all agree. Duke is the best team in this conference. May not lose a game in the conference, but then there's this group behind them that includes Louisville, Clemson, Wake. All with one loss in conference. You've seen all three up close and personal: Louisville, Clemson, and Wake. Who's the best of that group in your opinion?
For us, it's not Wake out of those three, I don't think. Although, any given day, right? I would maybe say Clemson. I like their roster. I like the way they play. But any of those three teams, they're all pretty good. I mean, those teams should make the tournament as far as I'm concerned. And they're in that second cut behind Duke.
All right, let's look ahead to the next opponent. It's Pittsburgh, and it's a team that got off to a 3-0 start in conference, and now they've lost 4 in a row, including to this Clemson team in overtime. What should fans be on the lookout for when Pittsburgh comes to town on Saturday?
Well, I think home court advantage, right? I mean, the Syracuse team to beat anybody's got to play better, and you'd like to think they play better at home just out of human nature and all of that. It's 2 games in Pittsburgh. You can't lose them both, so you got to win the one at home. And I think, as road games go, it is tough to win there, but not impossible. And these are the types of games. Pitt is in the, let's say, upper middle of the pack, or maybe they're in that. I can't really say they're in that second group with Clemson and Louisville right now. They're definitely a cut above. And Pittsburgh, they've lost 4 games because that can happen with everybody in this league outside of the very top tier. So, Syracuse just has to. It's in there somewhere. I just think they, just as we've talked about throughout the season, they just have very little margin for error. You can't get behind and make a habit of getting behind 10 and 15 and expect to win. You can't throw the ball all over the lot. As we talked about after the game last night on the way home, if you're going to make a turnover, you're better throwing it into a tuba than turning it over on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's what happened last night against Clemson. Fire the ball into the third row if you're going to make a bad pass. Not give up a 3-on-1 because you turned it over and it's a layup at the other end, and there's no defense for that. So there's obviously plenty of room for improvement. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, some head-scratching mistakes, as you said, that keep happening. 20 games into the season or whatever it is right now, 19, I guess. A lot of people are asking about Donnie Freeman and what's going on. I'll ask you: Do you expect to see him on the court again this year?
I can't say for certain, and I don't know enough to have anything more than a guess or a slightly educated guess on that. Coach Saddleman's great at just making small talk with the players as they're getting on the plane. He told me that he asked Donnie, "Hey, how's it going?" And Donnie, "Hey, we're getting there. I don't know what, I'm not reporting that really in any way other than just to say, we're all looking for shreds of anything to go on. Donnie's around with the team. He's got a smile on his face. He doesn't really do a lot that I can see basketball wise. So if he was pronounced healthy tomorrow, he still would have a ways to go before he gets back to where he contributes to the team, I would think, because, again, you're dealing with a different position and really a different type of injury than what J.J. Starling put behind him pretty quickly, right? J.J., sidelined for 7 games, but was engaged during that time when he's out. He came back and contributed basically as his usual self right away. Will Donnie be able to do that? I don't know. I mean, when you've got a bum wheel, the lift and the things that he brings to the table and does well. He's a very good rebounder and leaper. I would imagine he's obviously seen a setback above and beyond the fact that he's been sidelined for games. So you'd love to think he comes back. I think it's going to come down to the intersection of what he gets from the medical people, how he feels confident, wise in terms of going out there and not re-injuring anything and feeling like he can be himself, and then how many games are left and that type of deal. And that's going to be a decision that Donnie and his team and the trainers and medical people make.
All right, Matt, started with golf. I'll leave you with this nonsense. I didn't have Culture Club on your bucket list of concerts by any means. If you were to pick the artist of the day just out of anybody, who would you pick? What would you pick? What would you vibe to?
I'm one of these people. My feeling on music is this: I'm not a concert goer. I'm not one who buys music, seeks it out, whatever. I like 2 songs from everyone you can name.
Do you have a favorite
and it's just
song?
that way. I listen to the radio. I pop around, and if I don't like this one, I move on to the next one. I don't really have a genre of anything. So I'm pretty close to ambivalent. I mean, when you guys throw those names out or choices, I might lean slightly one way or another based on familiarity, or I know 3 or 4 songs from that person, but that's about it. So you can, I don't know. I think you've done a lot of the ones that if I'm thinking about what CDs did I have the last time we had CDs,
sure,
you guys have hit on
curious.
A lot of those already, whether it's Counting Crows or Tom Petty or.
So what?
Speaking of go back to golf, I'm like every other loser, middle-aged white guy when it comes to golf. You put on Spotify or something when you're out there, and if Fleetwood Mac isn't within the first 2 songs, that's a big upset, a big surprise. So that's pretty much how it rolls. But I'll listen to a little bit of everybody.
Valid.
So the fact that he said he likes 2 songs from everybody, what you're saying, Matt, is you really like the bump back this time around because we gave you the most popular song from Culture Club.
Yeah, that one we know.
All right. So
and he likes the combo.
I'm not going deep cuts on
sure, of course.
on Culture Club. Or,
Boy George's motion picture soundtrack cuts.
But I mean, you can go. It's like a lot of things. Music, you guys do it when you talk about it on the show. Music, it marks the times, right? You can think you guys play Beastie Boys. I think of a certain time, period in time, right? Or the music from people that are older than us or that your parents listen to. I hear you guys chime in. We're all talking about the same ballpark. So those are the thoughts that it tends to evoke. But whether it's classic rock or pop or country or whatever, I can kind of 2-3 songs from just about everybody we can roll with.
All right.
That's bad.
Yeah, I'll say this: when I have gone to the concert, I'm the guy who cringes when they go, "Hey, we're going to break out something from our new album."
Yep, that's the worst.
Because when they do that, I'm like, "Well, I don't know the words to this. I don't know where we're going.
Right.
This is time to maybe run to the restroom."
I was just going to say that. That's the time when you run to the restroom.
Happy birthday. I hope that's a song you can get down with.
Yeah, happy birthday, Matt. I know you'll be working tonight, right? We'll be working.
We will.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you over at Carrabba's.
Oh, are they going to make sure they don't sing to you? Because I hate that.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that.
All right, Matt. Be well. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right. Voice of the Orange, Matt Park. With that, we'll take our final time out. We'll wrap things up next on ESPN Radio.